All right, guys, how's everyone doing? Paul Singh, Market Speculator with bullsonwallstreet.com. Ask Paul number 2. And today we're going to talk about profit taking. Specifically, when do you take profits when a stock is at all-time highs? Let's take a look here. This was a question from Dwayne. He's a Trade Report member. He's had an issue with taking profits of breakout stocks when they hit all-time highs. I'll admit this is one of the toughest spots to be in because they are great momentum stocks, but you really don't know when to take your profit. For example, if I pull up Team right here, this has been a trending stock, as you can see. If we go back here to, all the way back to 2018, it's basically up almost 200% here. It's in the software sector, and we pay close attention to sector analysis. This thing's been on fire. Now, there have been multiple spots to enter. Let me show you an easy spot. Say you were taking a pullback play right here, maybe off the test of the 50-day moving average. It's very easy to analyze your risk reward. Let's say you entered here around 81. You can place your stop maybe under the 50-day moving average at 76. So you're risking about 5 points. The top of the range here is at 97. So basically 16 points. You can calculate all that. You're risking 5 to get 16. So basically about 3 to 1. Very great risk reward trade. Setup's good. Everything's fantastic here. You get out right here. Easy trade. Now, where it gets more difficult is when you are at all-time highs because you don't have that upside target to clearly tell you, okay, there's resistance at that level. So how do we figure that out? So, for example, here, we broke to all-time highs here on Team. Now, how did you know where you should be taking profits there? After this spot here, we broke to another all-time high here. And then right now, as we speak today, where I'm about 20 minutes from the market close, the stock is breaking to an all-time high again. So how do we figure out where to exactly take profits? Because we don't have this nice, easy spot that we did say on this setup here. So when you're at all-time highs, how do we assess where to take the profits? There's 4 things I look at very closely. Number 1 is the past history of the stock. What has that stock done in the past? So for example, let's say we were taking an entry here. Now, I'm not going to take this entry, so don't go out and take this entry here. But let's pretend it was a good setup. I'm a little concerned here because it's closing weak, putting in this inverted hammer and very extended. So the point here is not the setup itself, but let's figure out how we would calculate if we were in and taking the trade. So let's just say we were entering here at 133. All right. Now, we know our stop, if we were entering here, would probably be kind of under the range here, under the breakout range. So let's say we decided 128 is our stop, so we're risking 5 points. We know 2 to 1, we need to get at least 10 points on this trade. All right, so how do we figure out if we can get that 10 points, if we should take this entry and have the potential for getting that 10 points we need? Well, one thing we can do is look at the past history of the stock. So let's look at the last time we broke out to highs, which was right here. Let's say you entered at about 97 here. Now, how far did this thing go before we would even either gotten stopped out or hit a good target level? So at 97 here, this thing went to 116, which is almost 10 points. And considering it was a lower price, percentage gain wise, and you should be focusing more on percentage gain than actual prices. But this basically is telling us we could probably get the 2 to 1 we need on this trade. Now let's look at the other time, which was right here, broke to all-time highs. Let's say we entered, pulled back. We entered on the breakout pullback right here at about 74. How far did this thing go? So that 10% would be from 74 would be about 7 points. So we'd need to be able to get to 81. It clearly did that. It went much higher to about 97. So this thing went about, I think that was 20 points. 74, 84, yeah, 23 points. And percentage gain-wise, even much higher. So what the last 2 all-time high breakouts are telling us is this stock does have the potential to make the 10 points we need for 2 to 1. And from there, we could even assess if we can go higher. 2 to 1 is the starting point for us, but maybe it could go, we've seen with the past 2 here, maybe it could even go higher. Maybe we could go 15 points or 20 points. So that's in play. So that's one of the things we look at. Number 2 is the character of the move as we were hitting those all-time highs. For example, When it broke into all-time highs here, we had got a little bit of consolidation. There had been a pullback. Wasn't too extended already, because that's going to eat into your potential gain, knowing that this thing has already made a 10-point move by the time you're entering, which is kind of what's happening here. Here, it was a nice consolidation, then break. So there was potential for a big move. Same with here. It was, it consolidated here, broke out, pulled back. This was your kind of value play kind of entry, not a extended kind of entry here. So these were a little different in character than if you were entering today, because today it has already made about a 16-point move from where you're entering very quickly. So then you have to say to yourself, wow, this thing has already moved 16 points. By the time it's hitting the all-time high, I need to be a little cautious. Maybe I can't get that 10 points I need because of that. So that's something to consider. So basically right now, in the two things we've looked at, one is a positive for this trade, one is a negative for this trade. Then number three, other factors, other reasons that would make this stock move higher. And a few of those reasons that I would look at are, the main reasons would be the market itself, the sector, and what news is it breaking out on. So, for example, we know Team is in the software application sector. This is a sector has been on fire. If we pull up this industry watch list here, you can see a lot of stocks. You can't see it here, but a lot of stocks have been on fire. Let's just pull up the chart for software application. Let me see how I'm going to do that here. Here we go. You can see this, the sector itself is on fire. That's obviously a positive. You want to be in a strong sector. So that's a positive for this trade. The market itself, we know the market has been shaky, but it's recovering. If the market continues here, that's going to be a positive for this stock as well. And then what news is it breaking out on? Is it breaking out on earnings? Is it breaking out on some news related to the fundamentals, something that would be good for the company, a new CEO, some new contracts, whatever it is? Or is it rumor-based news? Is it, rumor of a buyout or something else? That's going to factor into how you're going to take the trade. I honestly don't know, didn't look up what the news is for this right now. But because it's not a high volume news, obviously it's probably not earnings. It's probably not something really significant. So those are things to think about as well. And then finally, your risk reward. What is your potential risk reward? If I'm going to be able to get a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 on my risk reward, I'm going to be much more likely to take it at highs than I am if it's only 1.5 or 2-to-1. So all of these are going to factor into whether you would take the trade today. So if we look at Team here, we're getting some mixed signals. We know that probably the lower end of our risk range is probably going to be where our target is going to be. Where if every one of these was lining up really strong, it had consolidated here and then broke out, the news was based on earnings, strong sector, strong market, all of these things, then I would go for a higher target. And it's still a little guesswork. It's not like, the easy way where we have resistance level on top. We do have to make some educated guesses here. But instead of going for the 10 points, if all of these things were lining up, which they're not doing right now, but let's say they were lining up, then I'd be going for maybe 20 points, maybe 25 points, rather than just 10 points. So these are the factors you need to be thinking about when you're thinking about your profit targets when we're at all-time high, you don't have any resistance above you, and you kind of have to make educated guesses on where to profit take. You're never going to be 100% accurate on these things. There are going to be a lot of times where you get out and the thing just keeps flying. That's just something you have to deal with. You can always do things like partial, but if you're just looking for just where to exit, think about these factors. And also remember, you can always get back in a stock. There's no rule that you got out that you can't get back in. So, if you get out and you see, wow, it's setting up again for another position, go ahead and take that trade again. So these are the factors we're looking at, how to take profits when we're at all-time highs. This was our second question of the day. I'll do another one tomorrow, and I'm going to keep cranking these things out. Pretty soon, it's going to be a huge education library. There'll be a bunch of posts on Bulls on Wall Street and my own site, Paul J. Singh. So definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to Bulls on Wall Street, and pauljsingh.com. All right, guys, I'll see you with another one probably tomorrow.